Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Thomas Reacts to Your Aquariums. This is volume like 14, I think, which is crazy. We have so many submissions, it's mind-boggling.
It has been super successful.
Yeah, hundreds and hundreds of you want us to react to your aquariums and showcase your stuff. So we really appreciate all of you guys jumping on board with this and showing us your stuff and helping to create this sense of community that we're feeling around our channel, which we love so much.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
If you've sent photos in and you haven't seen yours here yet, that's okay. It will be here. It's just taking us a while to get through them because we literally have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So just sit patient, watch every single one because you never know when yours will pop up.
It'll come.
It'll come at some point. And if you haven't sent them in yet and you want to, the email address is down in the description. So make sure you email the photos to that email address.
And make sure you also type with only 2 fingers.
Only this. That's how I do it. That's why this takes so long to get through because all my typing is done like this. It takes me forever to do anything. All right, you want to jump just right into it?
Let's do this.
Okay, next up, we have a photo from someone named, I'm going to say Guilherme. Guilherme, or that's the name, you know.
Sure.
Guilherme? I like Guilherme better. We'll see.
If we butchered that, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Okay, so this is his submission, and
we don't get very many saltwater tanks.
No, and he gave us a front and a top view, so we'll show you both.
Beauty.
It says, Thomas, I'd love to know what you think about my reef tank. So this is the front view.
Well, so far so good, man. It looks great. It looks really good. Got some bird's nest. Got a little, maybe that's an octobubble or a frog spawn. It's hard to say. Everything's looking happy and healthy. I don't really see any issues at all. Your acans are looking good. Mushrooms are looking real happy, which can be tricky because sometimes mushrooms prefer slightly higher nutrient water, and SPS and some LPS don't necessarily appreciate that. You've got a Florida Rick in the bottom right-hand corner there. Florida Ricordia looking good. I think that's a Ricordia Yuma in the background, perhaps. It's hard for me to tell. Nice branching hammer right in the front. Really digging that. Ooh, I'm glad you also have your star polyps in the bottom left-hand corner there, segregated to their own little slice of your tank so that they don't end up growing over top of everything. The cap's looking really nice on the top left-hand side of the rock there. That red Capricornus looks great. And it looks like maybe your anemone's been splitting for you. I see perhaps a baby bubble tip, rose bubble tip, or rainbow bubble tip. I don't know what the kids are calling them these days.
You want to check out the top view?
Yeah, let's take a peek, man.
Another clear.
Oh, beauty. Man.
Look at this. Look at this guy smiling for the camera, too, just like ready.
Yeah, and that does look like an octobubble to me on the top there. Nice little garden of zoanthids, too, right around there. Oh, man. That's nice. That's nice. I like it. Oh, you got a fire goby as well, I can see there. A couple of clowns. I don't know how old the tank is, but when that cap's going to grow, obviously, the anemones are going to only get larger over time. Feed them nice. Feed them well. And, yeah, things are really looking good. Your LPS looks super happy. You must have a pretty good handle on your calcium and alkalinity dosing. Very, very nice. I'm smitten. I'm glad to see some. I know it's you're probably not even done adding corals. Maybe you are, but most people get addicted to collecting different variations of coral. Like he's got a few acans on the bottom there, and yeah, no, collecting coral gets super addictive, and you may just want to just keep adding coral to this tank, and if that happens too, that's great. I want to see it again in like 6 months. It's gonna look sick.
Newbie question.
Sure.
What's with the on the sides here and the back? What's the deal going on here? Looks like mold.
It's okay. So it could be a few things, but it's probably a mixture of coralline algae and just straight up film algae.
Okay.
Which is pretty common. And if that part of the tank may just be right up against the wall, so getting an algae magnet scraper on it could be pretty difficult. Same with the background, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it just means you got to get in there with a razor.
One of the razors on the stick.
Yeah, like a Kent Pro Scraper for sure.
Cool. All right, I was just curious. Awesome. Well, Guilherme, nice. I think it looks pretty neat.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I'm digging it.
Sweet. Next up, thank you very much. Next up, we have Alex P. There we are. Alex P sent no kind of explanation.
Well, I like it. Got some beautiful angels in there. Some grommies or one gourami. Maybe there's more than one. And it looks like some platies. Very, very simple layout. Got some artificial plants in there, maybe a single real plant there, down there on the bottom right-hand side. I like the artificial root structure. Very Amazon feeling to pair up with those angels. Nice little pile of rocks in the corner there to add accent to the white sand. Although a very clean looking setup, also just very, very nice. Very attractive.
Yeah.
Very simple,
clean,
yet effective.
Yeah.
The background's also nice too because it adds an illusion of more greenery than is actually present.
Yeah, a little more depth. And
yeah. I like it a lot. It's also very, the lighting is very placid. You know what I mean? It's probably LED. It might be an LED hood with some small clusters in it. So the light, by the time it gets to the bottom of the tank's nice and spread out. But up near the top, you can see it's got some darker areas that are just giving an ambiance to it that the fish can swim in and out of the darkness into the light. I like the addition of the bubbles too. Is nice. Adds a little bit of extra circulation and breaks up that surface tension a bit. See a heater. Don't see much else for equipment. So the equipment's pretty well hidden too. I might take the heater and instead of having it right in the corner there, move it so it's behind that big tall plant. Since you got the plant there anyway, and having it just on the other side of the filter intake is going to be just fine. I know you've got it by the filter intake to try to make sure that the heat's getting pulled in and pushed to the other side of the tank. That's perfect. Just maybe stick it to the other side so that the bubbles and the plant are blocking it a little bit better so you're not looking at it.
True. Cool.
Very good.
Awesome. Alex P, thanks so much for sending that in. Next up, Gaurav P. Now he sent in two as well, two different tanks. So this first one here, planted tank. He says, my idea was to showcase that you don't need to have the biggest tank or the most expensive and colorful fish to make your aquarium pop out. Even by keeping the most beginner fish, you still make your aquarium beautiful. I don't use any fertilizers nor any CO2 systems. I do 20% water changes every week because of high bio load, and that's it.
Nice. Well, you're not wrong. Like the staple cardinal tetra, which you've got in there, and the harlequin rasboras or pork chop rasboras, whatever you want to call them. You're right. They are very common fish, but they are super attractive, and they definitely speak volumes for themselves in terms of beauty. You've also got some mollies in there and maybe some endlers or something like that. And you're right. It's a good little group of fish, and they definitely pop out. The plants seem to be doing quite well for zero fertilization and CO2, but the bioload from the fish and the respiration from the fish are obviously going to aid somewhat for that. I actually do like the slight coating of algae that you've got on the driftwood, and it looks like half a coconut or something in there. It adds a kind of rustic time aged feel to the components in the tank, which is really what stuff underwater typically looks like.
I do the same thing in my backyard with like moss on my back patio stones. Like there's some moss, and my dad was like, we should remove that. I'm like, you know what? I kind of like it. It kind of adds this something rustic. Yeah.
Aged by time. I like it. It brings nature. It just makes it feel more natural. Brings nature closer to your modern living of patio stones.
Indeed. Very cool here. It looks great.
Yep. Simple filtration if it's just the internal filter there, which explains why you're pretty good with your maintenance, making sure you keep up on it. Everything looks really slick. The sides of the tank are really well taken care of. You got some floating plants on there too, which is a great thing. Got a heater. I don't see a thermometer. If you don't have a thermometer, you should always have a thermometer, even if you have a heater, just to make sure that your heater is doing exactly what it says it's doing. Yeah. It's not always the case. So you definitely want to know if your heater's acting right.
Now I see some, like apart from the algae growing on these, I see something in the corner here.
Yeah, there's a little bit.
Is that any kind of issue, or is that...
No, just it's a maintenance thing. It's not going to hurt the tank at all. You're just going to want to remove it. I don't see any on the plants, which is really the place where I would not want to see algae.
Now I see a lot of...
Those black dots?
Yeah,
those are the sori on the bottom of the leaves.
Okay.
Do you remember talking about that?
I vaguely. I thought my first thought was that there was something eating through all the plants or something.
No, it's because it's a fern. Ferns reproduce through production of sori on the bottom of the leaves.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think in the top 5 low tech plant
Yes, we did talk about that.
Sore eye, yeah.
Indeed. Okay, his next one.
It's a sight for sore eyes.
That one hurt.
Oh,
Next one, the shell dweller tank. Oh. This shell dweller tank is my favorite. I started this aquarium about 3 weeks ago. The sand was flat, and by now they have changed the look of it.
Yep.
I have 10 shells and 4 multis, which get along well. Hope that they will breed soon. Maintenance is easy, only 20% water change every week. I feed them mainly high-quality flakes and keep the tank at 28 degrees.
Something tells me you're in Europe. Potentially. Because you have a Jewel filter. And we don't have a lot of Jewel stuff here.
Oh, right.
It's awesome. Like, this is all you really need for multis. I know a lot of people might look at this and just be like, hey, it's just sand and some shells. That's not... Sometimes simple is best, and when it comes to shell dwellers, this kind of setup is perfect for them, and because it is essentially what their natural habitat would look like, I think it's perfect, and I really like it. I like that you have a thermometer in there as well. It's a great little setup. For only 3 weeks old, looks like it's in pretty good standing so far. I'm sure you've already cycled your tank, so it's awesome.
Cool.
I like it. This is what shell dwellers do and why they're called shell dwellers. Not because they dwell around shells, but because they will straight up dwell inside of them. So they find the shells of, snails of years past. And they take over them and use them. So they'll breed and they'll keep their babies safe in and around their shells. And it's a really cool process to watch. Multis are a great little fish. They have a lot more color than you can actually see in these photos. When you get up nice and close to them, they've got these kind of like cool iridescent banding that goes up and down the body. They've got some yellow. They've got some blue in the eyes. It's beautiful. They're beautiful little fish, and they're lots of fun. Great experience, and I'm sure you're gonna love them. I'm sure you're already in love with them. It sounds like you are. They're awesome. You won't get bored.
Yeah, awesome job, Gaurav P. Thanks so much. Next up, Coquelet's Gaming.
Oh.
Now, no
I see natives.
Yeah, no explanation whatsoever, so I guess it's up to your interpretation.
So I don't know where this tank is or who it belongs to or what the laws are in their country, but I see yellow perch.
Which could be a no-no depending on where you are.
Yeah, it depends. Depends where you are. Perch are great. I go ice fishing for perch. I enjoy angling and consuming wild fish. Might seem a little counterintuitive because I also like keeping them in tanks. It's a great little tank. I think the mix of the substrate with the larger pieces of rock and the pebbles moving down to the very thin substrate, that is always a massive bonus in my eyes. I think it's one of the best ways you can take aquarium substrate and make it look like the riverbed or like as wild as possible. Some people might find it visually a little chaotic, but I think it's been done quite well here. We've got a nice big stone in the back left-hand corner. You've got the chunkier looking stones around it, and that eventually kind of peters off into the thin substrate, and that's exactly what I would expect to see, going from a river rocky bed down to, I should take a picture one day of like the stream behind my house, because this is exactly what it does. You got bigger rocks and then it turns into smaller rocks and then sand. So it looks great. I like the selection of fake plants, and they're kind of stuck around the tank in ways that, might seem a little bit natural. The tallest plant is in the back, so it's not creating any kind of visual distraction up front. And then we've got the shorter, bushier plants in the front as well. And then one nice red plant to kind of just change up the feeling of all the green. And it looks really nice.
Do I see a little shell there? Is that a little shell-like spot?
It might be a little shell. It looks like it could be a little shell.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few. There are freshwater clams, by the way. So having, clam shells in freshwater is not necessarily incorrect. It looks pretty good. Those look more like scalloped shells. But I digress. The fish look pretty happy and healthy. It looks like some native fish. So I'm not sure where you are or where you live, or if you got those from your local stream. I don't know if those are maybe dace or shad or shiners or something that are in with the perch, but
they're yours.
Yep. Just again, I mentioned this in a previous episode.
Yep.
These fish, if they are from the wild, can never go back. Once they're in a home aquarium and you're keeping them like this, you cannot reintroduce them to the wild. You're really asking to potentially and accidentally introduce some pathogens or anything that they may have contracted in your care back to the wild that are not natural to them, especially if you're feeding them any sort of feeders from the fish store or anything like that, like your local aquarium shop. You got to be very careful. So I hope you raise them to the point that you either eat them or you keep them for the rest of their natural lives in whatever setup you so choose.
Yep.
But yeah, it's cool.
Cool. Well, with that said, we are pretty much out of time for this episode. A bit of a shorter episode, but worry not, because we have about 3 million more episodes coming.
Yeah.
So worry not. We will be recording more of these shortly. Thank you again to everyone who sent in their photos. If you haven't sent in your photos, like I said, do that down in the description below. You'll find my email address. Send them right to me. If this is your first time seeing one of our React videos, boy, you have some binging to do.
Yes.
Because we have a lot behind us and a lot in front of us. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you subscribe. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, because tons of content. We got these React videos. We have build videos, educational videos, just kind of like beginners, like telling you how to choose a substrate, how to choose an aquarium.
The best aquarium habits to keep.
The
top 10 things you should never do with your aquarium.
Yeah. No, we got a ton of very helpful stuff. So make sure you subscribe, like our videos, share them with people you know. If you find that you enjoyed them, that always helps. Check us out at biglspets.com if you want to check out aquarium supplies and whatnot. It does help us if you pick up some aquarium supplies from there from time to time. It helps us continue being able to make these videos for you. I think for me that's about it. But there's something you always say. What is it?
Something about tanking and keeping on with the tanking. Keep on tanking.